Greetings and welcome back, Blade fans. We have an excellent little offering today to show you from T.KELL Knives, and this is the MR-1. It is a Pikal style knife, and I'll show you a little blurb here, if you can read this, from T.KELL Knives site. You're welcome to freeze frame that, and that will tell you a little bit about it. I'll leave the link to this so you can pull it up yourself. But this was designed by, by request of the Marine Raiders. Also on the knife it says Alpha Raiders. They are a military-based outfit of Marines, obviously. They are scout swimmers. And the Pikal is designed to be used in a reverse grip with the edge facing your forearm. Although not a traditional Western style blade, the Pikal is a very effective blade for CQB work. We used a Wharncliffe style dead flat edge to maximize every cut. I selected our famed Night series. And so this is basically your Night Stalker blade, complete profile, I would say, with the edge reversed. So let's take a look at what we've got here. I could get caught up in reading a little bit too much, but you can do that yourself. Let's take a look at this blade. It is from AEL-B, which is a departure from the high carbon non-stainless steels typically used by T.KELL Knives. I guess if you're swimming with a knife, you are a combative swimmer with the Marines. I'm sorry if I'm getting my language all messed up, because I don't know a lot about them, but there is your Alpha Raiders. But if you are swimming with a knife, you want it to be stainless, and AEL-B is very akin to 14C28N, and perhaps a little tougher, a little more edge holding. Good thing to do, it would be to look it up on, I believe it's Knife Steel Compositions, which is a app you can get for your iPhone or your Android. This one has the wood style G10 grip. Now, Tim does not use micarta because he doesn't like the porosity of it and the fact that it picks up a lot of gunk and dirt and things from your hands. The G10 is a little more impervious. And oops, I want to make sure I don't slice my finger on that, because you don't expect the edge to be here. So normally you would see this grind to be higher, and this would be the belly of the blade, and that would be the clip. So basically it would be flip-flopped from what you're seeing here. Now, the knife does have a ring, but you do not need to use that ring when holding the knife. If you choose not to, you can use the ring to easily extract it from this really fine Kydex sheath that it comes with. We'll show you that in a minute. But you can put your finger through the ring, and it does line up. What I look for is that it lines up 90 degrees to the forearm, because you want to be able to lead with the point and thrust before you pull, or at least have an arcing motion. I was quite impressed the way this turned out, with the way that that tip is raised slightly above the center line of the handle. You can see that here is your center line, and there is the tip above it. That's kind of where you want it, and I'm going to show you a bunch of other Pikal knives before we're done, so you can see for comparison what each one looks like and how it achieves that result of being a edge in, point down type knife. Tim did say that they're going to offer this with the black attachment hardware. He has a name for these, or they're lashing screws. That's right. So you can run a paracord through there and lash this to a stick for kind of survival purposes of making a spear out of it what have you. So I like this either way, really. I can fit all 4 fingers in there just under the ring, and I can cap it. So if I want to use it this way, I can. If I want to use it this way, in the Filipino martial arts, if you're familiar with that, we do have what's called the 9 and the 8 in the Piccati Tertia style. So coming in laterally, you can thrust and pull. Coming in, I can't quite get my arm around this way, but if you're coming in this way, you can thrust and pull. So that makes this very versatile, and still be able to use the ring if you so choose. And by using the ring, you can flip this knife out and strike with the edge and the point and then bring it back. So that's another option. Although I don't, if my life depended on it, I don't think I would get that fancy with the knife. It would require a high degree of confidence and controlling the jittery nerves that you get in those circumstances. Place your thumb here. We've got a little pocket for your thumb if you do choose to use it this way, so you can thrust and pull. This certainly could be used in a pinch for a EDC style knife. You can place your thumb on the back if you had to, although it's very interesting the way Tim kept this V-grind, which is not sharpened, on the back. I would suppose if you chose to, you could put an edge on that, although it would be not too fine an edge. Personally, I would leave it this way. And I do want to thank Tim for loaning me this knife for review. This goes back to Tim, and he is not going to have these available until July 15th, 2023, according to his webpage. So you can pre-order it. It's going to run you $250. It is a custom knife, and you may appreciate the fact that you're going to get everything you need in a Pikal knife with this particular one. Very nice fitting sheath, as I've discovered with all T.KELL knives. You've got a ramp here for your thumb that is jimped on the sheath, so you easily push that off. And yet it holds on tight. I mean, to get both of those qualities in a Kydex sheath is, I find, fairly unusual. Now, let me pull out this belt section that I have here. So you can see that basically your belt's going to go through here. Maybe this is a little wide, I don't know. Well, you get the idea. It's kind of a wide belt. So it's going to grab on this way for a scout carry. You can, however, switch this around so that it is a little bit lower. Don't have rivets on the other side. He did an unusual thing here, and I'm not sure what's going on. See if I can get this in focus for you. The attachments here, it's a pancake style Kydex. Some people prefer taco style, but this is attached here. I'm not sure with what. They do appear to be either a melted portion that's been sealed, or there is a steel pin in there. I don't know. Can't tell by looking. Anyway, the fit is just phenomenal. There's no movement in the sheath. You would think you would have a hard time taking it out, but look. So, you know, I can't rave enough over the job that Tim does on these Kydex sheaths of his. Some of the larger ones actually have screw tensioners for ones like the Mercenary and the Sapper. And I'm going to have an upcoming Sapper review for you soon. If you don't know what that knife is, you can look it up on the website. Some quick measurements. It is not a large knife. It is, I would say, right-sized for its purpose. 7 3/4 inches overall, 3.5 inch blade to the handle, with a cutting edge of about 2 3/4. And looking for the next measurement instrument. In inches, we have a handle of 0.53, just over a half. We have a blade stock of 0.13. And that turns out in millimeters to be 3.3 millimeters. So it's a good hefty blade stock, I would say, for the size of the knife. And again, this is a reverse edge knife. I initially thought MR had something to do with reverse, but no, it's Marine Raiders. And it is the team that swims, so AEL-B, not your 80 series non-stainless that you would normally see. And the Rockwell on this is about 60, according to Tim's website. You can read up more on the details. There's your MR-1, there's your T.KELL. And I'm sure you saw it before. There is the Alpha Raiders insignia with the skull. Very cool. And a very fine edge with a great point on it. Checking out a few other Pikal style knives. I have one here from Dirk Pinkerton. It is a custom as well. And this is the ferrule, much shorter knife, no ring. You can see the treatment here for Pikal with the arch to the blade, but also the raised point. So here we have the axis of the handle, and you can see that point is up there. Here we have the axis of the handle, and we've got a point raised about the same. You just don't have the claw-like look to this knife, nor do you necessarily need it. Here's a larger Dirk Pinkerton knife that uses a different treatment or a different approach to the edge down, point down, edge in, point down concept. No ring, full-size handle, and this is called the Smilodon, and it's more of a reverse tanto with the raised edge. Again, here's the axis of the handle, there's the point raised, which is what we're looking for. The only thing we didn't get on this little knife is the weight, and you're probably interested in that, so we'll do that. So without the sheath, we have only 3.75 ounces, call it 3.8 ounces. If we add the sheath, we get 5.13. So I'll make sure that that gets up on the screen for you because it's coming in a little bit late in the review. Didn't add it with the other measurements. Here's another knife with a ring. This is the Bastianelli and Dagmar Kydex collaboration, and this is the Anomaly. And this is interesting. You can also see a raised point with a little bit of a hook, but it does have the ring, and the ring is offset, I would say, about the same as Tim's. It's important that that ring not be in a line with the handle, or what's going to happen is you're going to end up holding the knife this way, and you're not going to have that forward presentation of the point that you need for this style of knife use. And what do we have here? This is the MF Blade Works Vandal. I'd forgotten the name, although I didn't do the review all that long ago. And this was a collaborative design between MF Blade and Fieldworks, well known on Instagram for his offerings, and a trained instructor and knife combatives guy. This is a double edge, and you can see we have a point that's raised even a little bit more significantly than the other knives, just a bit more, and sort of a hook, but with a straight point. So you see the presentation in motion is that that point needs to be forward. If that point hooks too far downward, then you're actually going to be hitting on the side of the point, near the point, and not driving the point in. And guys like Fieldworks has done tests on things like pigs and pork and that kind of thing, and has determined by and large what works and what doesn't work. Here's another T.KELL. Got lots of knives for you today. This is not specifically a Pikal knife, but can be used as such. This is the Guardian, and this is a very cool knife. This is a three-edged knife. Call it a reverse tanto or a Warncliffe, but you can definitely use it this way, even though that point is up just a little bit. More designed for this hold with the edge down and point forward. But that is a cool knife, and notice the handle is just large enough to get your hand on, which keeps it as a small package. Finally, just for size comparison, here is the Street Beat by Spyderco. Well-known knife, about an inch shorter overall, very compact, about a 3.5-inch blade. So the blade's about the same. Whole different kind of knife. This one is being made from, I think, VG10, if I'm not incorrect. VG10, yep. And it's just a real cool standard as far as small fixed blades go. It's a light knife. It's got a great handle. Not really set up for Pikal, but you could certainly get away with it. You just don't have the edge on the inside near the forearm. So another look around at this MR-1. I think, Tim held off and waited before offering a Pikal knife, but I think now that he chose the right profile. It is a natural fit. When he took the Night Stalker series and flipped that edge around, he didn't need to make any alterations. It works perfectly. I checked out the Night Stalker knife on his website, and it is exactly the reverse with that grind up here and the same profile. Now, Tim likes to chime in on these reviews, so anything I've misstated or additional information that you should have, I think he will most likely contribute. Well, thanks for watching. Terrific knife. I think it's well worth the bucks. And again, thank you, Tim, for providing this for review. We'll see you all soon. Don't forget to give this vid a like and subscribe as always.